So, welcome to Tea with Mo lectures on non-duality. This is an opportunity where I just share basically what I've found pretty much over the past 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks we run these sessions, and the sessions are based upon looking at life through a non-dual lens, and also the dualistic component of it, because we are living in a dualistic paradigm. Container, yes, because it's a womb anyway. This three-dimensional, four-dimensional, five-dimensional womb that we're in at the moment, and then we've got this beautiful temple that we're moving through in this experience. So I'm just going to read out what I put up on Facebook. So because some of you just come for Tea with Mo, you don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, and some of you come specifically for the actual topic. So we're going to talk about the concept of shifting and jumping timelines. So who's aware of timelines, jumping and shifting? Yeah, well, you should be. You were with me the other day when it happened. Yeah, as it does happen. So basically we're going to invite a lot of quantum physics theories within this. And then you might be able to relate it to other words that maybe resonate with you more. So we'll look at the quantum physics many worlds theory, quantum timeline shifting via frequency modulation. So based upon your frequency, you'll find a timeline that's reflective of that, and then you'll find people, like at the moment, your point of reference or your point of consciousness or your point of awareness seems to be at this juncture with all of these other points of consciousness. And for you to get here, you actually made a choice to be here. So there's a version of you who didn't come here today and made a choice to be somewhere else. So that's another timeline. And there's an infinite number of timelines, an infinite number of parallel universes that you are coexisting on. It's just that your point of awareness seems to be more so in this timeline. That doesn't mean that you can just have one timeline where you can have points of awareness. Just even today, I'm noticing that I've made a big jump. I think Saturday was the day that I jumped, and we jumped, and I've got a bit of jet lag from the jump, and so I'll explain what that is as well. And I can still see the remnants or residue of the timeline that I jumped from, because it's still carried with me in the soma, in the body. I'll also discuss 0 points, so neutrality, and how reality, this is interesting, how reality is loaded as needed. So I come from a nursing background, and we have medication that is prescribed on a routine basis, QID, so it's 4 times a day or twice a day or once a day. And then you'll have other medicine that's PRN, and PRN is as required, as needed. So if someone's got a bit of pain, we can give them some Panadol every 4 hours. So we've got these other medications when we need them. So reality, in a sense, is uploaded in front of you, because remember, you're always looking wherever you're looking. So reality is uploaded on a as needed basis. So what that suggests is that it's happening every moment, all held in one big moment called the now. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And it's uploaded from the quantum field, which is the field of possibility. So we'll do a meditation where we can access an alternate timeline and anchor to that frequency, and then we'll bring it back into this frequency. Or will we actually be in that frequency? I'm not too sure how to put it there. Cool. So welcome to Tea with Mo lectures on non-duality, where really anything and everything can exist because it comes from a non-dual lens. Okay, it means that there's multiple universes, there's multiple realities all simultaneously happening in a thing called now, a really big container called now. And we are, in a sense, the God particle, so we are God realizing itself. So the way that God actually, or the creator or source, gets to know itself is it fractalizes itself into an infinite number of fractals, and each one of those fractals is imbued with the same let's call it technology, the same God mind, the same attributes as source itself. And a beautiful way that we describe that is that if we had, say, 5 tea light candles and we had the 6th one in the middle, we lit the one in the middle, so that's this original source, and we got the other 5 and we lit them from the original source and we put them in different parts of the room, they all carry the same light. But they're having a different experience because they're in different parts of the room. Right? And yet they're still part of the one thing, and yet they're fractalized to make now one larger subjective experience of now 6 candles rather than just one. So you are the light of God, in a sense. You're a fractalized version of it. However, in being a fractalized version of it, you come into a density which then carries a body. And the body, you are not the body, even though the body is part of your carriage for this time on this time-space planet, time-space dimension. This body too shall pass. But the light, your internal, your essence will continue to live on and visit maybe other bodies in other dimensions, other densities, other universes. Yep. Could even be fractalized even further, where you have an oversoul and there's multiple fractals of you in having your experience in multiple timelines as well. So it encompasses so much. At this moment in time, we're just going to talk about a timeline. So, let's start with quantum physics many worlds theory. So who's aware of many worlds theory? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, all right. So we've got a couple there. There's a couple of you that sit around my age span, and who remembers a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow in it called Sliding Doors? Yeah? It's a classic movie, you know, and I think it was set out that she was, she'd missed the train or something like that. So there was one reality where she'd got on the train just before the doors closed, and then it followed the interactions that she had with somebody because she made it on the train. And then there was another scene where she didn't make it on the train, and then it follows the interactions of what happened then. And they were 2 completely different timelines, 2 completely different experiences. And just in that fraction of a second of hopping on the train or not hopping on the train, that then rippled out into so many experiences then for her life as well. So we could then start to look at that as each and every moment you have this opportunity to walk into a sliding door or stay out of that sliding door based upon your choices. Even this concept of coincidence, gee, that's a coincidence that that person was here just right at that time, you know. So next time you have a coincidence, or next time that you meet somebody randomly in the street, just consider to yourself, you know what, if I had have left 5 seconds earlier or later, I may not have seen this person. So what was it that was holding me back or moving me forward? Yeah, because there could be something just within that. So there's so much evidence that we're shifting timelines each and every day, but we don't necessarily see it because we, in a sense, what's the word? We minimize it, or we use a really broad brush stroke of, oh, that's a coincidence, or that was random, or that was bizarre. Whereas we could then start to, if we saw it a little bit more and had maybe a little bit more mindful, we could go inquire into it. That's really interesting, you know. I was just only thinking about this person, saying something like that. Even on the way here, I received a text from one of my clients saying, hey, can we postpone our next 2 sessions? And the interesting thing about that was that initially one of my parts came up and went, oh, you know, had that booked in, what am I going to do, that sort of thing. But then there was a realization of saying to myself, you know, literally maybe 3.5 hours ago, I said to myself, you know what, I'd really like a little bit more time off. So in that moment, I've actually shifted into a parallel universe, which then opens up the opportunity where I then have some time off. I think I heard you talking about the law of attraction. Right? So this is really interesting because we can use the law of attraction, and if we're into quantum physics, we can also use this as a self-simulation theory. So everything is simulated. It's simulated to, you are the main actor in your world, and everything is a reflection of what it is that exists within you. So you're the director, you're the actor, you're the cast, you're everything. Okay? And everything is just being, in a sense, shone out from you, and you then get to watch it. So the many worlds theory with quantum physics suggests that there is, let's call it a dividing line. And the dividing line says that on this side is the unseen and on this side is the seen. So this side is the manifest. This is what we see, we touch, and we think that is our reality. What sits in the unseen is what we think about, what we intuit, maybe what we feel, what we would consider, and what is possible. So there's a possibility field. From a quantum physics perspective, this is the quantum field of consciousness. This is the field of possibility. And from a Abraham and Esther and Abraham Hicks perspective, law of attraction, this is the possibility, this is the probability. So you are the one that makes the possible probable. And you've just been to a place where people have made many things possible probable. They've been very specific within that too. So within this field of possibility, there then is an infinite number of worlds that are reflective of this world, that have just particular small nuances that are just a little bit different. Do any of you remember a show called Quantum Leap? You probably wouldn't, definitely, no? All right, this is an oldie one. I was only probably about 13, so, you know. And this guy had created this quantum leaping machine. And so what it would do is initially it was a time machine. It took him back in time, and he went and did some stuff, and then he wanted to bring himself forward in time. And so then he came back to what he thought was the time that he had began at. But then what he started to realise was that as much as it looked the same, there was the same people within the same area, there was something different. And so the whole show then became that he was trying to get back to the world that he originally quantum leaped from. Okay? So each time he came back, is this the world? And oh no, there's someone different here. And you know, there'd be a different president, a prime minister. You know, the trees would have red leaves rather than green leaves. You know, so there's all of these. Anyone watches it? Morty and Rick and Morty. All right, they quantum leap all of the time. Yeah, into different worlds. So this many worlds theory then suggests that within the field of possibility, there is an infinite number of universes that are the same as this Earth, that have this vessel and these vessels, and depending on your frequency, it's not you're bringing that world to you, it's more so you go to that world. So you don't actually create the world's already created at that frequency. So depending on where you're at, you will then jump to that world, and that then world becomes your reality. Is it okay if we sort of share some of your experience just around your medication? Yeah. So how long has it been, so when did you start coming off your bag full of medication?
With the antidepressant,
So Sharon has jumped into a world where she is free of her medication. But it wasn't one big jump. It wasn't like overnight. See how's the incremental jumps? Right? And we could say, well, isn't that us just changing, Maurice? You go, well, yes, it is. It's also, I'm also thinking, as you've changed, you've started to notice how people relate to you change. And yeah, how you relate to yourself. So beautiful.
That's the most important thing.
Yes. For you to relate to yourself.
Absolutely, because everything's
So you're different. You're a different person.
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm.
I just refuse. I just don't. It's not.
And the last time that we did Tea with Mo, we spoke about the art of self-persuasion. So if you want to meet somebody in your reality, then meet them internally within your subconscious by having a quantum conversation with them, and then look for the signs that that is actually starting to happen. Right? So with Sharon, she's changed her relationship with herself, and as she changes her relationship with herself, then she starts to relate to life differently, and life starts to relate to her differently as well. Yeah? So the interesting thing is that the mind doesn't understand how both time can be linear and simultaneous. So it looks at time as a linear progression, that here's the beginning, here's the end, and this is how we then got there, right? Whereas what's happening is that in each and every moment, you are literally shifting timelines based upon your frequency, and your frequency, bless you, your frequency is then based upon your thoughts and your emotions. Okay, thoughts, emotions, pretty much driven by what you believe about self and others. So that's why it's really important to come to an understanding of how do I look at myself? What's the relationship that I have with myself? How do I look at others? What's the relationship I have with others? And then how do I look at life and my relationship with life? Yeah. So those indicators, those three indicators, are going to, in a sense, impact the frequency that you are emitting, because you are a being, you're an electrical being that's emitting a frequency. Yeah? And through the law of attraction, you can only, in a sense, move to a world or bring a world to you that is a match of your frequency. That's just how it works. Even if there's friction in your world, you can see that there's a mismatch within the frequency. And yet there's still something within you that's bringing that to your frequency. So, many worlds theory, frequency modulation. Based upon your frequency, you will then move to that world. Now, because there's an infinite number of worlds, then what we can do is we can move to those worlds unconsciously or consciously. Now, it's nice if we do it consciously, because then we've got a little bit more say, potentially, in where we're moving and where we're grooving, okay, and what we're experiencing and what that reality is. Now, the other interesting thing here is that when we look at Planck, when we look at quantum physics, the smallest amount of time is what they call a Planck second. They call it Planck units. So how many zeros are there in a Planck second? So a Planck time has no fewer than 43 zeros. So they say, which is around 100th of a millionth of a trillionth of the diameter of a proton. Now, what were they saying? Oh, here it is. A zeptosecond is a trillionth of a billionth of a second. A zeptosecond, okay? So a zeptosecond is a decimal point followed by 20 zeros. So it's quite small. Yeah. The only unit of time that is shorter than a zeptosecond is a yoctosecond and a Planck second. Now, what different physicists are saying, and what also different channelers, different information is saying, is that we're measuring a Planck second as the smallest unit of time, and there's apparently a shitload of those within one of our seconds. Your realities are being shifted within those Planck seconds. So if you could slow yourself down to a Planck second, you would see yourself moving from one timeline to another timeline to another timeline. And then you speed it up to one of our seconds, and because it's going so quick that we actually don't see it happening. However, you can feel your shifts within timelines happen. We had a significant shift just recently, I think it was last Saturday. We made a decision, and from that decision, we shifted into a new timeline. It was interesting because you picked up on what was happening, potentially. Yeah, there was something in the field that wasn't right. So we shifted into a new timeline. Now, the way that I was able to recognize that there was a new timeline is in this new timeline I found a new belief that I hadn't had before. Oh, this is interesting. All of a sudden I'm feeling this. Where did that come from? And then we recognize, oh, we've just shifted, we've just done a big jump. It was a big jump. Now, the interesting thing is that when you shift timelines and you do big jumps, you can actually shift into different bodies. So your body will be different. Since probably before October, my beautiful brother Paco, hello. Remember you saying to me months ago, and you were saying, Maurice, you're looking younger. Yeah. So this was months ago. So I'd shifted to a timeline where I was starting to look younger. And the reason why that was happening was because I had let go of some limiting beliefs. Or did I let go of limiting beliefs, or did I just move to a timeline that didn't hold those belief systems? See? So if you're not aware of timelines, then you're sort of thinking, oh, I'm letting go of these belief systems, look at the work that I'm doing. Yeah, well, you've just actually shifted to. Right? Now, the challenge is, though, if you haven't done the work in letting go of that belief, the residue of that will then move with you. Right? And so this is something that I'm noticing within this new timeline that we've just jumped to. I'm noticing there's still residue because I jumped too quick, but I needed to get out of it. We jumped. And then it came and it followed me. So now I'm resolving the residue of the belief systems that I hadn't resolved prior to coming to this timeline. And it's a little bit confusing because I know that I'm in a different timeline, but now I've got all this old stuff. I'm going, where's that coming from? What I've also done is I've jumped into a new timeline that's got a new belief system, and my system is still trying to catch up with the new belief system. So you've jumped into new timelines with new belief systems because of where you've been. And it's going to take a little bit of time for that to integrate. Some of it you'll be able to integrate really quickly, but others there'll still be some doubt that's sitting around it because in the old timeline you hadn't practiced that. In this new timeline you've already done it many times. Okay? But now you've just got to catch up to it as well. The body can also hold the residue as well. So literally in the past 2 or 3 days, I've had nausea, my body's asked me to sleep a lot, and I've been processing a lot as well. I also think too, in this timeline, that darkness, it's part of this timeline. So I'm now getting used to the darkness that's part of this timeline. Yeah. And so we're only going to visit this timeline for a short period, right? Because this isn't the one that I fully want to be on. Right? So this is one that we're just visiting. So you start to get to recognize when you're shifting what's happening within the body, what's happening within the mind. If you're not, now, once again, I'm telling you a story. Right? If you want to make this your truth, you can. If you'll take a little bit, then do that. If you'll take all of it, then do that as well. This is a story. Even if we're just letting go of all of the spiritual mumbo-jumbo, the woo-woo stuff, and we go, hey, we're just human beings with the psychology. And as Tony Robbins says, beliefs are probability filters. Okay, well, beliefs are possibility filters. So if I believe that this is possible, then there's a possibility that it could occur. Right? And from a psychological perspective, we have a cognitive bias to find what we believe to say that we're true. Remember Henry Ford, whether you believe you're right or you're wrong, you're always going to prove yourself right. See, I told you I was wrong. See, I told you I was right. So I'll go looking for evidence for it. So if you take on the theory of timelines, you can then start to maybe recognize that you're shifting multiple timelines per day. If things aren't changing, then you're not really shifting too many timelines, or if you are shifting them, they're very small and incremental. But if you've got some big major stuff, and when you're working in the coaching industry, you're trying to shift people big timeline jumps. And so with that, they need to be aware of the jet lag that can happen within the timeline jumps as well. Because even though you're going into a new platform, a new field, you still got to be able to resolve the other stuff. Now, we can look at it also from a psychotherapy perspective of parts, internal family systems. You've jumped to a new timeline, your parts, they're still, they're surprised and they're shocked because they haven't resolved the stuff from the past timeline, and they're brought into this one. So now you as self also need to be able to give them context and go, hey, this is what's going on. We've just jumped a new timeline. So we're just giving it context as well. I know that this can be quite large and encompassing, right? But hopefully you'll get some of this anyway. So timelines, many worlds theory, frequency modulation. So the way that you jump a timeline is you modulate your frequency. If you can be consciously aware of modulating your frequency, then you'll have a better chance of assimilating to the new timeline without too much friction. And also, now, just because you go onto a new timeline, it doesn't mean that you can't go back to the old one. Right? People might come and go, I'm really motivated for 3 days, maybe a week, and they're in a group of people, and they go home and they go back to their other community, then they'll jump back into the timeline that was reflective of their old community. So you can wax and wane, you can come back and forth. Simulation theory. So I think I've spoken about self-simulation theory before. Basically, this is saying that, and this is this PRN, so reality's loading itself as needed. And if we look at the Planck second, many times per second, you've got reality that's getting loaded. And each time it's getting loaded, it's based upon the incremental frequency shifts that you make each and every second. So just consider yourself today, and I think you would find it surprising if you only had one emotion for the whole day. You have travelled, you have journeyed far within your emotional quotient throughout your day. You've had more than one thought, you've had more than one emotion, and you've had more than one interaction. So every one of those interactions, emotions and thoughts and beliefs that are arising are then modulating your frequency. Your frequency then gets matched to a world that is reflective of that frequency, and it gets loaded in the moment. Notice in the moment, even if we said it gets loaded every second, it could be loaded, 333,000 times per second. And that's being very conservative from a Planck second perspective. So we are, because we have a dense body, we move slowly in relation to frequency. If you have a lighter body, so less dense, if you have a lighter body, then you are going to more so see how your thoughts impact your reality. So in this 3D existence, we have what we call a time lag. And it's important to have a time lag, especially from the law of attraction, especially from simulation theory, because if you don't have a time lag, every thought that you have, if it was instantly manifest, most children would not live past the age of 3. I'm afraid a lion will come out and eat me. There it is. And it's gone. Sorry. Right? So we actually need a time lag in this 3D world because we have a reptilian brain which is wired for fear-based thinking. Most of our thoughts are based on fear. We have so many negative cognitions, but what do those negative cognitions do? They apparently keep us safe, and this is where our parts are created. So time is important. Now, as we're moving through this 3D, moving into the 5D, if you're aware of that, or to the new earth, to a higher frequency, coming from the heart space, I see you as another self, I see you as me, there is connection and unity consciousness, you then start to see time starting to warp. And so 3.5 hours ago, I asked, or I said to myself, geez, I wouldn't mind a bit more time for myself, and it took 3.5 hours for that to manifest. Sometimes, and I think we were sitting down at a cafe the other day, and we were just talking about how beautiful it is, because I was getting into my scarves. You know, when I got back from Bali, I was like, I'm just going to rock these scarves. You know, that's what I do. And I was just saying to myself, isn't it wonderful, you know, that I can wear a scarf like this? I said, you don't see too many people like that. Now, in that exact moment, this guy just walked past with a scarf on. And where we were sitting and where he was, there was 2 plants either side, so we can only ever see this small picture frame. And this guy just walked past. It exactly did we place him there, or did we pick him up in the field? Not too sure. So just start to notice this. This asking and receiving, and how much time it is before you receive what you've asked for. Sometimes you'll get big, large time lags, and other times it'll be quite instantaneous. So there seems to be a thinning of the veil that's happening at the moment as well. So once again, be really mindful of your thoughts, because you are the one that is manifesting them in your reality. And this is how, in a sense, the law of attraction can work quite well, because we've got a heap of infinite many worlds sitting over here just waiting for us in anything that you think. And then it's going to be, in a sense, manifest for us. As much as we think we're manifesting it, we're more so moving to it. So we're bringing it out of the field of possibility into the field of probability. And we're then moving to it in that way too. Cool. Now, I'm just going to move through this, and then we'll have some time for discussion at the end. This concept of 0-point neutrality, I've spoken about this before. So if you really want to get good at consciously jumping timelines, it's good to get in a point of 0 point. So 0 point is neutrality. Neutrality is, from a Buddhist perspective, equanimity. So equanimity is I'm not pushing or I'm not pulling anything. I'm just sitting with it, and I see that there's value in everything that there is too. Another way of looking at it is the concept of emptiness. So everything is empty of essence other than the essence that we place upon it. So say that again. Everything is empty of essence. So this is a glass of water. It's a glass of water. Well, is it water? We've given it the name. Is it glass? I've given it that name too. See, there's judgment. But I'm not attaching anything to it though. So everything is empty of essence other than the essence that we place upon it. So it is neutral. We are the ones who then turn it into, this is really good water, or it's not so good water. And it's actually good water because it's Kangen 9.5 pH. So that's our plug. Let me have a drink of that. So 0 point's really interesting to create from, because you don't have to, in a sense, what you've done is you've collapsed the wave. You don't have to counterbalance the negative or positive. So what I mean by that is that for some people, it would be easier to find $1 on the street than it would be to find $1 million on the street. Probably for most of us. Yeah. Why is that different? Because with $1, we've seen it already. There's a sense of known. We know that money drops out of our pocket, and there's a lot of people that have $1 that could leave it on the street. So see how our mind creates a sequence of how that $1 could get there. And it says that's quite probable. See, the increase or the percentage of it's quite high. You could say, you know, if we said over the next week, what's the probability of you finding $1 on the street? It'd be maybe above 80%. So it's quite high. It's a good probability. So you are more likely to manifest that than if we said $1 million on the street. Because see how the mind straight away goes, well, who's got $1 million in cash? Or then the mind could go, oh, I could pick up maybe a credit card. Okay, but then I'd be a bad person because I'd have to hand that in. But what's $1 million doing on the street anyway? Is that drug money that someone's fallen out of someone's pocket? See how the mind then starts to create a narrative around it. That's because we're not in a state of neutrality. If you're in a state of neutrality, you would go $1 is the same as $1 million. And the only difference is that there's 6 zeros. So to get into a point of neutrality, one needs to be open to anything that it is that you want to invite. Because if you've got a thought based upon how it's going to happen, then now what you've already done is you've created the probability, and you've also created a logical way of how it would be, rather than an illogical way of how it would be. So the point of neutrality, this 0 point, is that you then start to move to, and if you want to look at it from a money perspective, you would then start to move to, well, everything is energy. So now I don't have to consider the value of it. This is more than this. Everything's just energy. And then I don't have to consider how that's going to happen. I just move to a world where it already has happened. So then what we would do is we'd move to a world where it already has happened. We don't worry about the how. We more so go to the frequency of you already having it. And this is classic law of attraction. So when we go into, we'll do some breath work, we'll go into a meditation, I would like you to invite a frequency of what it is that you'd like to experience, rather than what it is that you'd like to experience. It's the frequency. Now let's just dial it back a little bit here and consider that everything that you've ever bought is more about the emotion of you receiving it than it is about the actual thing. It's like when you get the new car. It's really wonderful, and you can smell it, and you're in it, and then you drive it out and everything, and then after a while, a week later, a month later, 2 months later, that car doesn't seem to hold the same emotion as it used to. The ring, even whatever item it is. So it's more so around the emotion of it than the actual object of it. Now, people in marketing know this really, really well. So when they try to sell you something, they sell you an emotion that's related to the object. They don't just give you a picture of the object. If someone's trying to sell you a car, they don't just sell you a picture of a car. It's a 4-wheel drive, and you're driving over this, and you're going fishing, and you've got the chainsaw out, and you're cutting all that sort of stuff, and all of these things that are related to it. So it builds this emotional quotient within you, and you think, if I have that car, I'll feel like that guy, or I'll feel like that girl. So if you want to create something, you want to manifest something, if you want to move to a timeline, then we move to the timeline and we tap into the frequency rather than the actual thing. Now, you can use the actual thing to activate the frequency. So that's where the visual is really important, but we're more so trying to tap into the frequency of it, and this is frequency modulation. So if you're in not a very good mood, it's really hard for you to be in a good mood. But we also know how to shift and modulate our frequency, and we've done that through listening to songs. We've done that through breath work. We've done that through having a conversation with somebody. Even before you came in today, I had somebody drop in and dropped us off a gift, and I was just able to share some of my experiences with her, and just her being there to witness me and to listen, I then started to notice my mood shift. So my frequency shifted just because somebody was there, and I had someone to co-regulate with. So we can shift our moods quite quickly when we know how to, and that's a lot of the stuff that we do here as well too. Okay, so a couple of considerations if you did want to shift a timeline. It's probably more so related to what is it that you would like to invite into your world. You could use the words, what is it you'd like to change, more so. You don't really have to change anything, but you could invite something else in. So I like that, you know, because change sometimes can carry a weight about it. Depends if you're in a space of neutrality. So if you want to invite more of something, it's not that you want to change anything, I just want more of that, that'd be nice. Yeah. Or it could be something that you want to change. It could be something within the body, it could be something within the mind, it could be something external, the environment. So just in these next moments, I'd just like you to consider, because we'll move into some breath work and then we'll go into a meditation. And the breath work is going to alter our brainwave frequency so we can then access these altered states and these alternate timelines. Yeah? So before we go into that, just consider, what is it that you would like to invite? Then just consider briefly maybe what the frequency of that it is that you want to invite. And then we will look at doing some breath work. Now, you can lie down, you can sit up for the breath work if you want. We'll do a 2, 2, 3. What am I going to do? Let me go to a timeline where I've done this before. All right, sweet. So we're going to do 3 types of breathing techniques. The first one will be breath of fire. So that's in and out of the nose using the belly. So, yep. Then we'll do alkaline breathing. So alkaline breathing is in through the nose, out through the mouth, but into the belly. And then we'll do holotropic breath work or psychedelic breath work, which is in and out of the mouth. All right, so they're the 3, right? And we'll mix that up. We'll do, so one round will be those 3. So breath of fire, alkaline breathing, holotropic. We'll go into a breath hold. We'll hold for a minute, and then we'll then do another round of that. We'll do 3 rounds. We'll go into the final breath hold. And as you then go into the final breath hold, I'll then start to bring this awareness of where you want to move to with an alternate universe, an ultimate reality, tapping into the frequency, anchoring into the frequency, bringing that back into this here now moment. So whether we bring it back or whether we go there, I'm not too sure. And then we can then use that as a point of reference to then take away from here and use that as what we call the golden thread, and then finding that as well too. Cool. I love a bit of breath work. That's cool. All right. So we'll start off with breath of fire. Let me get some. I love this song. All right. So just follow my. If you can do double time. Okay, alkaline breath. Double time. Holotropic. Double time. Coming into a breath hold in 5, in 4, 3, in 2, and 1. Breathing in, breathing in. Just holding at the top. We're going to hold here for a little while. Good, now breathing out, emptying out, emptying out. And then holding at the base. And here we could then hold for 1 minute. Just allowing that spaciousness to reside within you. A profound silence washing over you. Continuing to hold, continuing to hold. Ready for a recovery breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathing in, holding at the top. And then just releasing, coming back down now, and just coming back to your regular breath. Beautiful. So coming back into the breath, and let's start again. And double time. Good alkaline breathing. In through the nose. Double time. Coming into holotropic. Double time. Good. Coming into breath hold in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2. Next breath in, breathing in, breathing in. Just holding at the top, squeezing the perineum. Releasing now, breathing out, all the way out, all the way out. And then holding at the bottom of the breath. From here we hold for another minute. Continuing to hold, allowing that spaciousness to reside within you. Coming into a recovery breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathing in. Holding at the top, squeezing the mullabunda, the perineum. Bringing the attention up to the third eye. And then just releasing gently. Just noticing where you're landing. Each time that we land, we're altering our brainwave state, moving towards alpha state. Just notice what is here. Beautiful. Coming back into breath of fire. Double time. Alkaline breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Double time. Into holotropic. Double time. Coming into a breath hold. In 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. Next breath in, next breath in. All the way out to the top. Holding, squeezing the perineum. Releasing. And holding on the way out, holding on the way out. We hold here for another minute. Just allowing that spaciousness, that point of neutrality. Where you're sitting in between. Continue to hold. Tutakera sine mutota ne ka tena ma. Tutakitire wuta tene ta te. Coming into recovery breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathing in. Holding at the top. Squeezing the perineum. And then just releasing, allowing the breath to then settle.
As long as I breathe, I will listen to the mountains and the trees.
From here we can travel interdimensionally. I invite you to move to a reality, a world that holds everything that you would like to invite. Sift and sort, find a space where you are inviting and living and experiencing that it is, where you wish to move toward. Visualize it. Tap into the frequency. What does that feel like to have it, to be living it right now? Notice that frequency. Where is it within the body, around the body, or outside of the body? Allow that experience to fully immerse you, fully surround you. Allow yourself to surrender to it. That initial experience that holds that frequency, allow yourself to then expand outwards to other experiences that have a similar frequency. See what the neighboring environment is. Who else is in this reality? What is it that they are doing that is reflective of this frequency? What is it that you are doing? Allow that picture to fully develop. You are traveling through time and space in these moments. You are still here and now, bringing that world to you, you moving towards that world. With that frequency that you are immersed in, that's surrounding you, that you are contained and held in, allow that to sift into this body, this temple that you hold. Anchor it into where it is that you are noticing it. Use this as a point of reference to see further signs of this reality appearing upon your path throughout your days. Allow this to resonate and remind you multiple times per day that you are on the right path towards this reality. Continue to create, continue to manifest what is here, what is now. Widen that picture as much as you can. Colour it in. Add emotion to it. Every breath that you take in, you're deepening that connection, deepening that anchor. Bringing yourself closer to it closer to you, until you are one with it and it is one with you. So let's use the breath to anchor it in and move towards some alkaline breathing, nice and slow and deep and long. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. My beautiful souls, that is Tea with Mo for today.